Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. And congratulations to David Lewis on being the first to class. And so definitely David is getting the extra credit points for today. But thank you also, and hello to Nancy and Kukla and Valve. Of course, Jeremy and Kukla, thank you guys so much for helping out and moderating and being here. It is greatly appreciated, and I think the community appreciates it as well. Hello there, Arlene and John Christopher. Hope you're having a great start to the week. And hello, Tabitha and Deb Q and Neil Brooks. I hope everyone is having a wonderful, wonderful Monday. My apologies to everyone right off the bat for missing on Friday. I had everything in the world come at me at the same time, including family and the like. And so my apologies, but we're going to make up for it this week. And so we're going to hit things a little bit quickly, and we're going to kind of speed through a few different lessons. But today's is one I'm really excited to talk about with everyone because right now we're seeing crazy things happen in the market. And a little bit of an explanation I feel like might help a lot of folks out. But of course, to go ahead and start things off, Kukla, that was perfect timing. The content in this podcast is for general educational purposes. It is not intended to provide any professional, financial, or legal advice. Please consider everything discussed in Zester's as Zester's opinion only. And no, that is absolutely correct. When it comes down to it, guys, I'm here to try and help people understand. I'm here to help bring the crypto news to people. But when it comes down to it, make certain that you do your own research and that you talk to the people that you need to before you make any decisions on anything. And so thank you so much for that as well, Kukla. Hey there, HKY Wiz. Hope you're having a great one. And Judy. Oh, no. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Or in Puerto Rico, buenas tardes. Buenas tardes, everyone. Oh, overcoming victory. I'm glad to see that you made it as well. Glad to see that you made it. And Natasha, what is up? What is up? I'm here. I'm here. The hall monitor stopped me in the hall. David, I hope you had a properly signed and documented, hall pass before you got stopped. Don't want to see you in detention. You were doing too well showing up early for class. Absolutely too well. And so, everybody, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. And what we're going to jump into right off the bat is actually just going to be something I think everyone here is going to appreciate the link for. And so that is the Bitcoin halving clock. And so the Bitcoin halving is currently set to occur on April 18th, 2024. And so this is a countdown towards it. The reasoning that it's so important is what we're going to dive into today. But this is a link that I'm going to go ahead and drop into the chat room so that anyone who is curious can follow along. I'm also going to plop it into the Discord as well so that anyone over there can see it. And this will allow you to be able to keep track of what's going on. And it also has a lot of really awesome information on it. And so we're going to jump into some of that info today because we discussed what the halving means, but we really didn't dive enough into it. And it's extremely important that everyone is aware of what's happening right now because we're seeing a crypto market that is exploding. It seems like you could put money anywhere and it couldn't go wrong, but that is not really the case. There's more going on and there's a reason. There's an absolute reason. So Judy Rogoski, is this gold backed? There are gold backed cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is not gold backed. Bitcoin is backed by the algorithm. And Bitcoin is backed by the fact that it's extremely hard to create and it is a fungible currency. It essentially checks the box over everything that would make it the perfect currency for us to convey transactions in. But it is not gold backed. There are other ones that are, and actually, I know as we go into the future, we're going to be talking a lot about different precious metal backed cryptocurrencies. But for now, there are very few in the market that are truly backed up buy gold, silver, palladium, platinum, or anything of the like. But so, jumping back on over here to the halving clock, we're going to go through a little bit of what this website has to convey with the hopes that maybe we can all wrap our heads around what is going on in terms of the markets. And Kukla Zester, is Mark popping in? I'm not certain. I will send over a link and see if we don't get a little bit of a surprise visit from him. And so he has got that link now. So we will see if we get him or not. But continuing on down. And so what is the Bitcoin halving? Also known colloquially as the halvening, the halving. I've heard a bunch of different terms utilized for it, but what's the important part of it is what it means. And so for the first 4 years of Bitcoin's existence, the amount of new Bitcoins issued every 10 minutes was 50. And so 50 new Bitcoins entered into the world every 10 minutes, essentially. And that 10 minutes is because that's how long it took for one block to be solved by the miners. And we're going to dive into that one a little bit more in a minute. But essentially, every 10 minutes, 50 new Bitcoin entered. And every 4 years since the beginning of Bitcoin, that number has been cut in half. And so for the first 4 years from 2012, the amount of new Bitcoins issued every 10 minutes dropped from 50 Bitcoins to 25 Bitcoins. And so that means the miners who are out there mining Bitcoin, and when I say mining Bitcoin, they are validating the network. They are making certain that everyone has the right amount of Bitcoin. They're making certain that your transactions go through. While they're doing that, the amount that they're getting paid to do it gets cut in half every 4 years. And so 2012 was the first halving, and it went from 50 Bitcoins to 25 Bitcoins. In 2016, we saw that number drop from 25 Bitcoins every 10 minutes to 12.5 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. In 2020, we saw that number once again drop in half. What we're about to experience in April is going to be the 2024 halving, which means the amount that miners are getting paid in order to run all of their software to solve all these problems is about to get cut in half again. And so we will see the reward drop from 6.25 Bitcoin to 3.125 Bitcoin. And so as everyone thinks about this and really tries to place it in their heads, imagine if we were talking about gold or we were talking about silver. What if suddenly this year they said, we're going to mine half as much gold as we mined last year? And so we're going to go in, we're going to dig up dirt, we're going to extract the gold, and we're going to end up with half as much as we got last year. What would happen to the price of gold? Because there is a limited inflation of new gold inside of the markets. And so it's the same idea, and we can kind of think about it in that way, where it would be the same logic behind oil. What if suddenly we could only drill for half as much oil as we could today, and it just happened tomorrow, out of nowhere, just happened? We're sitting here on Monday, the 11th of March, and we are drilling 100 billion barrels a day, and tomorrow it's only 50 billion. What would happen to the markets? And so this halving decreases the amount of new coins generated per block. This means that the supply of new Bitcoins is lower, making buying more expensive. In normal markets, lower supply with steady demand usually leads to higher prices. Since the halving reduces the supply of new Bitcoins, demand usually remains steady. The halving has usually preceded some of Bitcoin's largest runs. And so when we look at the markets right now, we can tell that this is not something that is entirely unpredictable. This is logical. This has occurred over and over and over again. And so I'll actually jump over here and I will snag somebody to jump in with me while I have these charts up, because I felt like maybe I caught him a little bit unawares when I did. But so, Pops, what are your thoughts on the Bitcoin halvening and everything that's going on in the markets?
Normally, a Bitcoin halving is tumultuous for the crypto.
Oh, Pops, I feel like we know that you're.
That's exactly it. No, normally a Bitcoin halving is tumultuous for the markets, period. Now we're going to add that to a time of great economic stress in the world while we've got overspending. There's a lot going on right now. There's going to be a lot to watch in the crypto markets.
It is. It's a cycle that we can actually follow. And so, yeah, jump over here with me, Pops, on this one, just as we are actually checking it out. And so keep in mind, guys, remember the first halving ever was back in 2012. And so if we actually look at our line in terms of the halving, we can see that Bitcoin at that time was worth about $12.43. And in a matter of a little over a year, Bitcoin was worth about $1,000. And we can watch this same cycle occur over and over again. Remember, 2012 halvening, that's the first halvening. 2016, we end up with the second halvening. We're sitting somewhere around 664. And then when we look in 2018, we saw the first ever major Bitcoin bull run where we were seeing prices around $15,000, $16,000, $17,000, $18,000. We then had the next halving in 2020, where at the point of the halvening, we're looking around 9,541. We look out a couple years or a year or so, and we're looking at 34, 35, and that is when we made it into the $60,000 range for Bitcoin the first time. And so this has been a regular occurrence inside of the markets. It is cyclical and it's logical. When it comes down to it, everyone just got their pay cut in half and they're going to be reacting to that. And so I'm curious what you think on that one in terms of how it works there, Pops. Just the fact that it's very much a logical occurrence. Essentially, and my analogy at the beginning of the stream was, what if the amount of gold we could mine out of the ground
fell in half?
Was cut in half. What would happen to the price of gold?
Initially, it would be a little uncertain. Then it would start going up because of limited supply. It's like, I mean, basic economics.
And same
supply
thing with oil.
And demand.
Yeah, same thing with oil. Well, what if we suddenly could not drill as much oil?
Yeah, but every time OPEC cuts production, what happens? Fuel prices go up.
And I feel like when it comes to Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, it's more a combination of the two, because it is both the fuel that runs the network and it is the gold that you want to hold on to. And so you need it in order to interact on Bitcoin. You need Bitcoin to send Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is gold. And so essentially it is both the gas and the precious resource at the same time. Oh, and I see people here in the chat now. HK Wiz, it was so nice to finally see a profit, only in this 8 months. Yeah, I would have to imagine anybody out there right now that is holding cryptocurrency, I would have to imagine you're in the green at the moment. It is kind of hard to not be in the green, depending on when you bought. Of course, if you bought during one of the peaks, probably somewhere around 2021 during the last Bitcoin halving, then you could possibly be still in the red. But right now, it is a great time for everyone who has been holding, because just like you said earlier, XRP took a huge jump. It did. We're up to 70 some cents on XRP. And a matter of a week and a half, I believe we purchased for the community portfolio at somewhere around 60 cents or 50 some cents. And so it is pretty hard to actually hit the wrong lever right now. But that does not mean it is impossible. And we have to keep in mind why this is happening. If we consider that before we make any decisions, we will be understanding of the fact that this can very, very quickly change. Victoria Marie, sure am in the green. Now that is awesome, Victoria. I'm glad. I'm so happy for everybody who has been, especially those who were buying about a year ago when we were looking at really the doldrums of the crypto winter. And so I know there are some folks who are sitting very, very pretty because of the decisions they made when everybody else was scared to even touch it.
Look at this one from Greta May. I did the Coinbase tutorial, got $3 each of VAR and Proppy, both of it's a great way to learn on somebody else's money.
Yeah. Oh, and that's a great shout out there, Greta May, because some people may have not checked their Coinbase tutorials, and they're different very often for each person. And so it is a great way to get some free crypto and some free knowledge at the same time. We'll have to check that, Greta. We'll see on mine as we continue to the stream whether I have some new classes as well. Victoria WV, I have XRP now, but still a little ignorant about how to maneuver crypto. I am elderly, so cut me a break. It is totally okay, Victoria. By the end of all of these classes and the end of this time, I feel like you are going to be the one teaching all the youngins how crypto works, because once you start to feel more comfortable, things are not that bad. It's a very, very steep beginning to the learning curve, and then things begin to level out. They absolutely do. But I will jump back over here while we still have Pops for a second, because I know he's probably getting ready for his stream later for maybe a little bit of his different opinions on some of these other statistics from the Bitcoin halvening. And so, as we've seen, this lower amount historically be rewarded to miners, we've seen a fairly consistent price increase. And so the Bitcoin halving chart here, and so everyone do check out this link. I feel like this is going to be a useful one for everyone to kind of be able to go over themselves, but we're going to go through it as well as a community. And so each halving typically lowers, or well, always lowers Bitcoin's inflation rate. It cuts it in half. The orange line is Bitcoin's inflation rate over time, while the blue line is the total number of Bitcoins issued. And so when you're looking at this chart, what you'll notice is that when we're in the 3.125, and so the timeline that we are in, we're effectively at the point where Bitcoin is going to level out. It is no longer going to be many new Bitcoins entering the market. And actually, by, I believe, the year 2180, the last Bitcoin ever will be mined. But effectively, the vast majority of all Bitcoins are already out there. There aren't really going to be more coming in the preceding decades. And this schedule, while it has consistently been a 4-year period, the halving is actually not based off of a time. It's based off of the amount of blocks in the blockchain that have been solved by the miners. And so we are looking for 840,000th block. And that is actually the time that the 2024 halvening will occur. And so that's why when you look up here at the clock, it is an estimated halving date. And so this has changed just over the past week or so. This changed from the 19th to the 18th. And so blocks are actually being minted a little bit ahead of schedule. And that means that while it's effectively a 4-year in between, it's not the years that matter. It's how much work, how much information is being added to the ledger that is actually dictating this.
I was going to say, and the math dictates the more it's used, it should speed it up. So you see the pressure on the market, it should theoretically, as we get closer, it's like watching, I don't know if this is a good example or not. You may want to straighten me out, Zester, on this one. When the lottery gets higher and higher, it gets bigger faster because people are trying to get their ticket. So I would imagine similar things are happening with the Bitcoin miners before they have it right now. They're probably throwing a lot of energy, power, and time at it that they wouldn't have been previously.
Yep. No, I think there is something. I mean, it's I guarantee that the coders and the programmers would have a lot more technical terminology they'd love to use. in that situation, but that's a good way of thinking about it because it is. It's the gold rush. And so there's not just 100 guys panning for gold in the stream. There are 100,000 panning for gold in the stream, which means the gold in the stream runs out a lot faster. And that isn't a bad way to kind of think about it. And so that kind of leads us, though. Well, what are the miners thinking? They're the ones who are about to get their pay cut in half. They're the ones that own a very large portion of all the Bitcoin that exist. And they need to sell their Bitcoin in order to keep mining, to purchase new equipment, to pay the power. And so
a lot of the power hungry or the ones that have high cost of power are going to stop mining immediately upon the halving. So you're going to have ones with more efficient or alternative energy or / whatever to mine start. You have fewer people chasing it.
Yeah. And that is one of the very common beliefs. Now, throughout the past cycles, we have not seen a major drop in terms of miner activity. And so this one is one where actually, if anyone is following along on the page, you can actually click on this one and you will see an article coming back from 2016. Which I thought was a really, really interesting throwback. I also appreciated the meme from 2016 that was used on the page. I thought that was pretty darn funny to see him,
with Ron Paul
pop up in a meme from 2016 talking about cryptocurrency. But what we have seen throughout time is that typically the miners have already priced it in. And so the miners have already been pricing in this happening essentially since the last halving. They've already been figuring out, how do I mine cheaper? How do I mine more effectively? How do I stockpile Bitcoin in order to keep me through any crypto winter? They have been thinking about this one. And so we can kind of look back at the previous halvings and say that most likely we won't see a major drop off of miners. We will probably see the small guys drop off, but the big people, the people that are mining, have massive networks built. I know a lot of them are in Kazakhstan. They're in places with cheap power, and so we will see a lot of them. They're not going to slow down one bit. They were already making money at a half revenue, and so they're not really that worried about it because they are also gambling on the fact that the price of Bitcoin is going to make up for the reduction in how much they're being rewarded. And so that was an interesting one there, Pops, because I feel like that's something that most everyone is under that assumption that the second it occurs, so many miners are going to go out of business, and some will. But most likely it's only going to be the small people or those who didn't have vision.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I've got to get away from the computer. Well, I got to stay at the computer, but I got to get out of this stream.
All right.
You want to pop on this evening and let them know, let the other folks know that you did one on halving?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I think this one's an important one for everyone. People are going to be hearing about prices skyrocketing. They're going to be, we're going to have a lot of people going and looking at things and saying, I just heard from my buddy that he made 1,000% in a day on something. And it's important that everyone keeps this in mind. Why is it occurring? We can't just blindly throw our dollars around and not do the research about why things are occurring. If we understand why, it will be much easier. So I would love to jump in there and let everyone know.
All right. See you guys this evening.
Hey, thank you for jumping in there, Pops. All right. Let's jump back on over here. I really appreciate him getting to jump in there for a second, though, because this one is something everyone needs to be aware of. It's very important. When it comes down to it, the fear of missing out can take over. And if you are going in and you're purchasing things because you are afraid you're going to miss the train and you don't understand why the train is running, that can be a very dangerous proposition. All right. Work in process. So tips from the cab driver should be fully researched first. Absolutely. Just because the cab driver said he was driving some fancy businessman around and he gave him the tip of a lifetime doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be true. All right. Kukla with a question from Gammy K. So Gammy is new to XRP. Can you recommend a good, safe wallet? And so, Gammy K, what I would suggest is that if you have gotten to a point where you have purchased enough XRP that you're genuinely worried about it, then I would highly recommend utilizing a Ledger hardware wallet, which there is a link for that one actually inside of the link tree so that you can safely go make certain that you're getting one from the right place. But if you are just beginning and you are just starting on your journey in XRP, in cryptocurrency, and you don't really have that much, I would just suggest keeping it on Coinbase, because why not? If you only have a couple $100, if you only, and it really depends on everyone's pain tolerance in terms of loss. If you have a small amount and you're really, if it was gone, you wouldn't be that worried about it, I would just keep it on an exchange. The second it hits a point where you genuinely are worried about it staying safe no matter what, I would get it over to a Ledger hardware wallet, Gammy. That way you know that it's safe, you know where it's at, it's sitting in the safe in your house. You no longer have to consider whether some hacker is going to take it from you. And so that's the way I look at it. The second that I have an amount that is a pain point, I suggest people then go the hardware wallet route. Until it hits that point, you're better off saving the $70. Buy crypto with the $70 until you hit the point where it's enough crypto that you do really need a hardware wallet. And so, all right. I'm going back through answering a few questions before we jump in real quick. So let me roll through. All right, guys. Deb Q, since prices are going to the moon, can you explain how to take just profit without losing our base coins? That's actually an amazing question, Deb Q, because that is one of the things everyone messes up on. Whenever you have entered in, and so this is always going to be dependent upon your entrance point and your risk tolerance. If you're one of those risk it all for the biscuit type folks, leave it all in. Sure, maybe it'll keep going higher. I'm not. When I see large gains, I take out my principal. And so principal just means your initial investment. And that is the way that I always look at it. If I have gotten XRP and let's say I got it at half of what it's at 35 cents, and we've reached 74 cents. What I am going to most likely do is take half of my XRP out. I'm going to sell it. And that in and of itself takes my skin out of the game. I still have half as much of my XRP as I previously did. And I also have my entire principal. If the price of XRP goes down, I can re-enter. I can have more XRP than I had previously. But I always feel better holding something once my principal is out. And so this one is always a matter of strategy. It is looking at the market. It is looking at your own risk tolerance. And it is saying, at what point do I need to get my money out? Because once your money's out, it becomes so easy to hold the rest. It's so easy. You're not going to worry about the price volatility once you've had your initial investment out of the market. And so this is one that is very, very difficult. But what I would say to it, DebQ, is be aggressive. And of course, not financial advice, because we could see this market continue to $200,000 Bitcoin. Who knows? We could. And in which case, you might be upset with yourself. You might say, I could have gotten more. And that fear, that fear of missing out affects us in both directions. It scares us from selling. It scares us into buying. And so you need to always keep that in mind, is that just because something looks like it can't stop doesn't mean it won't. It will stop. Eventually, every single time the bull run has occurred, we've had an end to the bull run and we've had a bear market. So always keep in mind when you see these massive gains that there's There's a lot of logic. The smart person would take their principal out, is what I would guesstimate. If I were a Warren Buffett, he would have said, why is it not out already? Or why are you not already planning on holding on to it for 40 years? If you're planning on holding on to your XRP, to your XLM, to your Bitcoin for decades, don't worry about it. Don't even think about it. Just leave it right where it's at. If you are someone who is more actively trading and you feel like the market could have a downturn in an immediate fashion, then maybe be more aggressive with taking profits. It really comes down to your own, it's really your own perspective. Some people aren't worried about it. They're planning on cashing out in 2035. And for those folks that are planning on cashing out in 2035, then if you purchased a token because it has a solid fundamental value and nothing about that has changed, then why would you worry about it? If you're worried about making profits in the short term, then you would consider being a bit more aggressive. And so that's a great question, Deb Q. I wish I could give a more exact answer, but really it comes down to each person. I've had situations where I was very aggressive and I sold and got my profits and more very, very quickly. And it was the right decision because the market's downturned. I have had times where I didn't sell and then I waited 3 years while the markets were down for me to be back to a break-even point. And so I can look at it over my 8.5 years in cryptocurrency now, and I can say that I was both right to sell and wrong to sell many times. It is not something you can truly pinpoint. If you need the money, take the money out. If you don't need it and you believe in the future, let it ride. Neil Brooks, answering Greta May. Neil says that he bought his Theta on Uphold. However, I'm not able at this point to move it to my Ledger wallet. And so, Neil, that actually leads me into a great little caveat for today because we're going to be having an Uphold and Lobster video this week. As a matter of fact, we are only waiting for Uphold to go ahead and let me in. And so I am currently going through the verification process on Uphold. After that, we will be able to have that video, guys. And another one we'll also be having this week is the Lobster tutorial. So for those that are looking forward to both of those are going to be coming out this week. The only one that may slow me up is Uphold if they don't hurry up and go ahead and verify me. But Lobster already has. And so the Lobster video will be coming out this week, absolutely for certain, as well as a shortened version of the Coinbase tutorial and review. I feel like that would be helpful for folks. That way it will be in, more like a 10, 15, 20-minute video for anyone who needs to go back and review for any future pop quizzes. All right. A work in progress. Bank the initial investment and ride the rest out. Never look back when you sell. Absolutely. Hindsight is 2020, and it lies to us because it makes us feel like we messed up when we didn't. If you chose to buy something and you doubled your money in a matter of years, a decade, if you doubled your money in a matter of a decade, you are beating the financial markets in the vast majority of cases. And we very often give ourselves a lot of crap. We're our own worst enemy when it comes to these things because we look at it and we say, why did I sell? I could have made more. And that's greed. And whenever you feel greed coming on, keep in mind that that is not good advice. Greed will never help you out. Greed will be your downfall as it has been the downfall of everyone else. So I would have to agree with a work in progress. Absolutely. Once I have my initial out, I no longer worry. I probably have wallets and tokens sitting around that I don't even know the value of because I no longer worry about them. I have the seed phrases. I can go back and get it whenever I want, but I don't worry because I'm good. I took out my initial and I was smart about it. And that's the way I view it. Oh, Victoria WV says, thank you for explaining this so well. It makes great sense to me. Thanks, sister. Oh, thank you so much, Victoria. And I am trying to make it as easy as possible. Sometimes that means my analogies might be a little funny and they're thought up on the spot very often to people's questions, but I am trying, and I'll get better and better and better at it. A work in progress says risk tolerance and age are big factors. This is true. Absolutely. If you want to be able to enjoy these funds in the next 10 years or in the next 20 years, well, that's going to change how you view your investment. You're going to be more aggressive in terms of wanting to sell off, wanting to take profit, wanting to get out. If you're looking at it for a very long term, well, then you're going to be passive, most likely. And so I would say that comes into mind. And I would probably try to still look at it on a matter of 5-10 years, even if you're trying to look on a shorter term, because I understand you want to be able to spend the money. There's things you want to do with it, but you're going to be much happier if you at least take a little bit longer of a skew. Because remember, when we came over here and we were looking at this chart, and actually I think down here we have an even better one. And so jumping back over here real quick, just because that really does come into play here, a work in progress. So when we saw the 2012 halving, we saw on halving day a price of $12.35 per Bitcoin in 2012. 150 days later, we saw a price of $127 per Bitcoin. 2016 halving, we saw a price on halving day of $650. On 150 days later, we saw a price of $758. 2020, we saw a price on halving day of $8,821. We saw a price 150 days later of $10,943. Now, to place that into perspective for today, a mere 4 years after the last halving, we are looking at a Bitcoin price of 72,310. That would be a gain of somewhere around, a little less than 10x that has occurred since that time. And so we see the cycle. We know what the cycle is doing. But if you don't take a 4 or 5 year perspective on this, you could easily be in a bad position. If you were to look at it 4 or 5 year perspectives, well, we've beaten every eye, always. And I would consider looking at it that way, regardless of how much of a rush you're in. I would at least not enter cryptocurrency without taking a fairly substantial amount of time into consideration. Otherwise, you could easily get yourself into a position where you're looking at a crypto bear market where prices are very, very low and you need the money. And that's when it really hurts. When you have to sell when the market's down, that hurts like heck. So, continuing on down. Greta May. Oh, this one's kind of fun because it's a little bit speculative. What percentage of our total exchange funds do you plan to reinvest in crypto? And so when I look at that one, Greta, for me, it will be a very, very high percentage. And that's on account of the fact that I strongly believe that our financial system following it will be built off of blockchain or a technology similar to it. And so I do think that there will still be a major use case for cryptocurrencies. But to me, it'll always be a matter of silver, gold, crypto. That's me. Silver, gold, crypto, real estate. That's what I believe has value. To me, I believe that is the future. If it's not a precious metal, if it doesn't have an intrinsic value, if it's not a cryptocurrency that serves a genuine purpose, or it's not a house that has genuine value, or land that has genuine value, or a resource that has genuine value, I don't want to own it. I feel like that's toxic nowadays. But it is always just a matter of opinion. All right, Neil Brooks. Esther, when I take out initial investment, is the withdrawal taxable? That's a great question, Neil. And so absolutely, I would say talk to your accountant before me, Keep in mind, a lot of accountants are not very knowledgeable about how cryptocurrency works. That's something I can personally attest to. When you do go to discuss with them, they're going to have a hard time going through it. What I would say, Neil Brooks, is that in the majority of cases, until you have reached a point of profit, you have not reached a point where you should owe anything. And so I would talk to your accountant about that one. I would absolutely not take my advice on it because I do not want to be the reason that you have the IRS chasing you around. But I would say that when it comes down to it, cryptocurrency is capital gains. That's where you're taxed at, capital gains. Capital gains are based off of profit. And so if you hadn't made any money, I would argue you don't owe anything yet. But do not take my advice on that one. Talk to a financial advisor and an accountant. But it is capital gains. I know that for absolute certainty. Nancy Kerner, it sure is fun riding the wave up. It is. It's euphoric. It really, I mean, this will be my third halving, I guess my fourth real bull run in terms of the markets. And every time it is all consuming. You don't want to look away. You feel like any chance that you're not looking at the screens, you're going to miss something. You're going to miss the moment you should have sold or the moment you should have bought. It's a lot. It's a lot, Nancy, but it's one heck of a ride. It is one heck of a ride. I watched myself make a fortune and lose a fortune very, very quickly in cryptocurrency. And those were mistakes I made back in the earlier days. Now I'm far more conservative. I don't make a fortune, but I don't go down. And that's what I consider to be a more, I don't know, a more conservative, maybe a more wise perspective. When I see wealth created, I don't let it go away anymore. Back in 2016 and 2017 and 2018, I made fortunes and I watched them go away because I was convinced I should just hold. It'll be tomorrow. It'll go back up. You always have to do your research and you always have to look out. Keep in mind that 100% gain in 1 day, in 2 days, in a week, in a month, in a year is huge. It's huge. Take it. Take it off the table and be happy. And don't ever look back at it and be upset with yourself because you didn't get the 200% gain in a month. You made 100% on your money in a month. That's a win. And HKY Wiz, that's what builds experience. Absolutely. It's not a matter of education when it comes to the market. And I think that there are some very quality quotes from the Warren Buffetts of the world who would go out there and say, it's not education, it's time in the market. That's what truly makes you learn. We as humans, we learn from pain. And that's what we do. We learn from pain. It's the greatest teacher we have. Everyone who told people as a child that kids learn better with rewards, with praise, with compliments, it's a lie. It's always been a lie. We as humans learn better when we're hurt. And I think that's probably the same with every living creature. We learn the most when we feel pain. And so when you go through and you make those mistakes, you learn them. You learn them and you embody them and you never forget them. If everything worked out and you just threw money at it and it always won, you wouldn't learn a thing. You wouldn't learn a thing. Yeah, absolutely. As long as they're not repeated, HKY was exactly. A work in progress. The more mistakes we make, the more we learn. Yep, it hurts. It hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. Especially, I know thinking myself, 8.5 years ago, I was 23. I was right out of college. I had no money. I had nothing. And I made tens of thousands of dollars in days and then watched it go away. And that's something that hurt a whole lot for a while. But now I just consider the cost of my lessons to have been tens of thousands of dollars. I paid a lot of money to learn. And it wasn't my money, luckily, because it was profit. And I managed to, even at the beginning, I managed to at least take out my initial. I always took out my initial. Nowadays, I'm much quicker. Jennifer Hans, I made bank from Dogecoin, but if I would have pulled out sooner, I would have made a lot more. Don't worry about it, Jennifer. It's hindsight is 2020. It'll always mess with you. It will always mess with you. Cheaper than college tuition. That is true. A work in progress. That is true. Yeah, you can lose a lot in the markets, and it won't come anything close to the waste of money that college is nowadays. Oh, that's an interesting Linofoc. My grandson is a university business major and he has done well in crypto. Well, congratulations, first of all, to your grandson. And then in Kami, California, my regrets for where he lives. What security license would he need to assist others? That's a great question, Leno. That is a great question. I'm not certain because there are certain states where there are not as stringent regulations, and in others there are far more. I would assume that it is nothing different than a traditional financial advisor, which means there would be a fairly substantial degree of liability and licensing that would be required in order for him to assist. But with the advent of, and this kind of runs me right into this one, with the advent of the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, I would say that we're going to be seeing a lot more people going through the university system and specializing in cryptocurrency. And so this is another thing that ties in to the reason we're seeing these price spikes. It's not only the Bitcoin halvening. It's really a confluence of events. We see terrible, terrible results in terms of inflation. So we see the US dollar losing value on a daily basis. You can walk into Walmart today and walk in tomorrow, and you can see it with your own eyes. We are seeing inflation at a rate that is absolutely beyond unacceptable. And so cryptocurrency was designed to solve that. We're seeing Bitcoin ETFs and traditional finance enter into the markets with the likes of BlackRock, Vanguard, and others. Franklin Templeton, we're seeing many different major institutional investors enter into the market. And we are watching the Bitcoin clock for the halvening tick down. So it really is not just one thing. We are seeing a bunch of different stuff happen all at the same time, all probably at the best of times. At least if you're a Bitcoin hodler, it would be considered the best of times, because right at the halving, we're seeing ETFs, where we're seeing these institutional investors double down, and we're seeing massive inflation. And there really is nothing more that could possibly be a perfect storm for Bitcoin than, and for crypto on the whole, than for those three things to be happening at the same time. And so I would say that we have to be cautious of throwing all of the credit behind one singular influence. It's not just the halvening. It's not just the ETFs. It's not just the markets. It's really the combination of all of them and mainstream adoption. It's culture. The fact that y'all are here and y'all are listening and y'all are learning about cryptocurrency is an indication of a major shift. People that would not be expected to, or haven't done a lot in it, or have limited knowledge, are trying to learn. And they've been trying to learn now, I think, for the past couple of years, and there's just not enough resources out there. But we're seeing a major cultural shift. People are starting to see the value of a currency that is not controlled by a government. And as more people see that value, and more people start to worry about their government's dollars, as they continue to go to Walmart and see the price of milk go up every day, what are they going to do? They're going to look for an alternative. What is that alternative? It's most likely going to be a cryptocurrency. They're going to go to gold, they're going to go to silver, or they're going to go to crypto. That's where they're going to run to. They're going to run to the places that are vanguards against inflation and government overreach. That's where they're going to try and go and hide at. At least that's the way they always have before. So that could always change one day. Nancy Kerner says, have done well with real estate, cryptos, and new animal. Grateful to have your guidance, CC. No, happy to be here, Nancy. And real estate is always a win. They're not making any more land. At least I haven't found any places. I heard China is making new islands in the South China Sea, but I have to imagine those aren't so pleasant to buy a vacation home on. But no, absolutely. Neil Brooks says, I also have a Trezor wallet. I tried to move Theta to it last month and Theta wasn't supported. I'll try again. Thanks. I actually have a little bit of an update for Theta that I wanted to share with the community, because we had a community member just the other day come to us and say that their Theta was essentially locked up and that they didn't have access to it. And so as this as more and more people in the community have come with their different issues with different exchanges or different platforms, I'm starting to get more of an idea of the ones that are the problems that the whole community is having. And Theta happens to be one of them. And so what I would say is that Jeremy actually did some great research on that one today. And we actually discussed with our attorney for a cryptocurrency company the Theta issue with folks who prior to 2019 had not converted their Theta over to its new form on the Theta mainnet. And so we're going to continue to look into that one. Effectively, what we've learned so far is that Theta is a US-based company. They are established and incorporated in California, and they are legally liable to pay you back. And so for all of those that are having issues with Theta, please do jump in and throw a ticket in, because our attorney actually said he's got the perfect person to connect folks with in case anybody gives them a hard time on getting their dollars back. Because from just the folks in the community that I've talked to, there are hundreds of thousands of dollars in Theta that are currently locked away. And Theta owes you that. You are completely obligated to receive it. There is no legal framework for them to withhold it. So that is one where there will be continued updates. For those who do have any issues with Theta, please do jump in and throw a ticket in, because we're getting together a little group of folks who are being affected by the same problem. And so if your Theta was not converted over prior to the Theta mainnet launch and they're telling you that there's nothing you can do, that's called theft. And so that is not the case. There's absolutely something that you can at least attempt to do. So please do jump into the Discord, into the ticket system right over here, and toss those in to the tickets, because we are actually discussing with some of the affected people currently what we have learned. And so we can help out more, hopefully, as we continue forward in regards to that. So definitely to the Theta folks out there. Baja Girl 302. Wait, more islands are popping up all over the world. Hey, I mean, I guess that one kind of goes, yeah. For every bit of land that's lost, a little bit of land pops up. So I wonder who lost it. And I guess that means you can go get yourself a private island. After the exchanges, Baja Girl, I'm getting me a private island. Pixie, what kind of XKM do I buy? I'm not quite certain with the question there, Pixie. Do you mean XLM or Stellar? In which case, I can definitely help out on that one. Definitely can. All right. Continuing on through for questions. Patricia Berry, I really need to go back to his first point and catch up. I think crypto is something I want to teach my younger girls about, and I don't want them getting their education on TikTok. Then, Patricia, that is a great idea. Then that is a great idea, because there are some ridiculous, I guess, teachers, or I don't even know what they call themselves on Instagram and TikTok. I've seen some horrendous explanations and education going out there. So I would appreciate that, Patricia. Send them on over. We'll all learn together, and you get to go to class with your daughters. So that would be perfect. You and them can all go into class together, and you can embarrass them in class as much as you want. Pixie XLM. So when it comes to XLM, you're going to want to go through and make certain that you're buying specifically Stellar. So Stellar is most likely mirrored on every other blockchain, but that's not the one you want. What you do want to do is if you're going through with Stellar, you're going to want to go through and make certain that you're purchasing the legitimate one. And so if you're coming through and you're buying on something like Coinbase, like right here, Pixie, you don't have anything to worry about. You're going to get the proper lumens. And when you actually go to withdraw those said lumens, you will then have the option to make certain that you pick the proper blockchain. And so as I come here and I say I want to send my lumens, just as an example, you will then be able to choose when you place in, and you actually put right here the address you want it sent to. So say your Ledger hardware wallet or another wallet, and you send it, it will tell you what blockchain you're sending it on. You want to send it on the Stellar chain, the Lumen chain. And so as long as you're going through and you're getting your Stellar, your Ripple through something like a Coinbase, you don't really have to worry anything about it. You do not have to worry about it. So I would just make certain, Pixie, that when you go through, you're getting your XLM through a trusted source. Another option, which I'll give everybody, that it is lobster.co, which actually I have been playing with, and a video showing people how to use Lobster and how to withdraw to a Ledger hardware wallet will be coming out in the next couple of days. And so that is another option. They do seem to make it very, very easy to purchase Stellar or other different crypto offerings that they have. And so there are a multitude of different options, Pixie. I personally would suggest Coinbase over Lobster. The reason I say that is because I have already checked out Lobster's, let's just say, fees. And needless to say, I'm not happy. Lobster charges very high fees. Coinbase charges much lower fees. So I would suggest for those that are looking at it, I guess this is a little bit of a sneak peek to the video because it is already in the process of being recorded. In regards to my review is that I really like how easy Lobster is. I really dislike how much of my Stellar they take away from me. And so that is one thing that I would just go ahead and give you guys. That's your sneak peek to that video. A little bit of a spoiler. I really enjoyed using Lobster. I did not enjoy the fees. So we will talk about that more inside of the video. But I hope that did help with the question of purchasing your XLM. So when it comes down to it, go through a trusted source, Coinbase most likely, and you have nothing to worry about. If you buy your Stellar on Coinbase and you send it to your Stellar wallet on Ledger, all your Stellar is going to get there, and you're going to be safe. So, all right. No, absolutely, Nancy. Looking forward to the Lobster lesson. I am as well, because I have been hearing now since we've started in terms of the tickets and everything else, there are a lot of people who have got crypto stuck on Lobster. There are a lot of people who have it stuck on Uphold. And we're going to help everyone get it out of there if they want to. I would say, having used the systems, I'm not minding them. Lobster, I don't mind. I wouldn't keep my dollars there. I wouldn't keep my crypto there. But I haven't mind using it. And similarly with Uphold, because I'm actually a bit of a Uphold fanboy, because Uphold is the official crypto wallet of Brave Browser. And Brave Browser's cryptocurrency is the basic attention token, and I'm a big supporter of those projects. So I am an Uphold supporter, but we will be going through, and everyone will get to hear my review and see the tutorial this week, assuming Uphold lets me in. So fingers crossed, Uphold lets me in. Lobster, guaranteed, that video is coming. Baja Girl. Well, Lobster, you have some splaining to do. We'll dive into that one for you, Baja Girl. It's not bad. Lobster was very quick to the punch. In all honesty, Lobster provides a useful service. They make it very easy, very, very easy, almost too easy to purchase Stellar. And that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It just means that they are charging a bit of a higher fee because they're making it really easy. So we're going to talk about that one. All right, though. I just saw a great question. Kukla Zester, when is your next podcast? The next podcast will be on Wednesday. And so for this week, we will actually be having a live stream on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we will be having 2 videos released. And so I'm trying to catch up from missing on last Friday. And rather than have an extra live stream, I'm going to have an extra recorded video. And so look forward to 2 recorded videos and a live stream at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday and 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. So that is our current schedule right now. We will have 2 pre-recorded videos and we will have 3 classes this week. Oh, HKY, I feel better after each class. Thank you, everyone. Oh, I am so glad to hear that. I am so glad to hear that. Booger Crazy Krypton, how come you come in cleaner than your dad's podcast? I don't know. I don't know. I do not know. I try to help him out on the tech. And I'm actually using a far less adequate system. His system is far superior to mine, but I'm helping him out and working with it. The more I do this, the more I'm learning about his perspective from it. And so I'm trying to help him out also. Nancy Kerr, I was happy to see my ledger on the Coinbase screen. Next step is to make some moves. There you go. That's it. Starbright, will you be doing any training on the Trezor wallet? Actually, Starbright, I've been thinking about this one. And so I did Ledger because that's what I use for work. That's what I use. I've got them everywhere. I feel like I'm surrounded by these little things. But I do think that at some point in the future, I probably will do some tutorials on other hardware wallets. It's not going to change the one that I use, most likely. I have companies that run through these wallets. I use Ledger. I've trusted Ledger. My ledgers are trusted with a lot. And so it is my go-to, but I am planning on going through and doing tutorials on different ones because some wallets have different functionalities. Some hardware wallets would be really useful for people in certain situations. So we're going to talk about that, Starbright, and talk about the situations where it would make sense to have a different one. In most cases, I'd say you're good with Trezor or you're good with Ledger or you're good with a multitude of different hardware wallets. But I have a clear preference. All right. Overcoming Victory has a question. How do I get Shiba transferred into my Ethereum wallet? Tried, but couldn't figure it out. This is a great question, Overcoming Victory. And so what we'll actually do real quick is I believe I have Ledger pulled up, ready for just a situation of this nature. And so when you actually look at Shiba itself is an Ethereum token. And that means Shiba is built on the Ethereum blockchain, which means your Ethereum wallet is where you want to send it. And so if you were looking at it just like this, you'll notice that my wallet has more than just Ethereum in it. This wallet and it also has an inappropriate name, so I'm gonna stay up. I didn't realize I had been dusted with an inappropriate token name, so my apologies for that. I will try to find a different wallet to show you on real quick because somebody I guess thought they were funny, or some company is advertising. But needless to say, when you actually send things over to your Ethereum wallet, if it's an Ethereum token, you would send it to your Ethereum address. You don't need to worry about it. So look at my Binance wallet here. My Binance wallet has 3 different tokens tracked on it. All of these are stored on the same wallet address. So Overcoming Victory, if you wanted to send your Shiba to your hardware wallet, what you would do is you would send it to your Ethereum wallet address. You would go ahead, click receive, and you would send it to your Ethereum wallet address, and it would pop up similar to this as one of the tokens that is held inside of your wallet. And so Overcoming Victory definitely makes certain that you double check your wallet addresses as you do this. But that would be your way of getting your Shiba over to your Ethereum wallet. If you have got your Ethereum account set up on Ledger, you would be able to send your Shiba directly to it. And so whenever you're in doubt on those things, do come over here. And something that I've found to be particularly useful is to just go ahead and look at the actual token. So here we found Shiba Inu. And so what we can see now as we look over here is we can look at the contract and we can look at the explorers, and we can see on the explorers that it is Etherscan. It is an Ethereum token. What chains is it on as we come down here? Ethereum ecosystem. And so assuming you have got Shiba on any normal exchange, so say Overcoming Victory, you have Shiba on Coinbase, you're going to want to send it to your Ethereum wallet address. So there won't be a special wallet just for Shiba over here. You're not going to see Shiba. Shiba doesn't have a wallet. Shiba is just an Ethereum token. And so it'll be inside of your Ethereum wallet. I hope that that was well explained there, Overcoming Victory. I was hoping to be able to show you on the Ethereum wallet over there, but someone dusted me with an inappropriate token name, and so I don't want to show that. Don't want to show that. Oh wow, for $49.95 a lesson zester, you can't go wrong. Wait a second, I'm charging? Who's charging y'all? I thought this was free. No, it is. It's something where we all have the opportunity to learn here. We all have the opportunity. Nancy, Trezor is actually another hardware wallet. There are a few different companies that make them. Trezor is the second largest. Ledger is the first. Trezor is the second largest hardware wallet company, to my knowledge. And as Starbright has said, thanks, I really like Trezor. I have heard the same. I have heard many people say that they are big fans of Trezor. And so I have nothing bad to say about it. I just know the one that I use and that I'm familiar with. That's the only reason. All right, guys. Going to keep going through. Starbright, what does dusted mean and how can they mess within your wallet? Starbright, what they did and what they're doing is they're not really doing anything that can mess with me. They took my wallet address and they sent crypto to it. You can send crypto to all the wallet addresses on the whole planet if you had the money and you had the will. You could easily just go out there and just keep sending crypto to people. And you'll very often find companies or tokens that are sending out free tokens to everyone in order to make it look like a lot of people hold it. A lot of people are invested is what they're trying to make you think. And they're trying to make you interested. And so if you ever have a token pop up inside of your wallet that you didn't buy and you don't know where it came from, just hide it. And so that actually leads me into a good little Ledger tip right now. And so if we actually come up into settings and we go to accounts, we can come over here to hidden tokens. And so let me actually get myself and you off the screen real quick here, Starbright. We can come to hidden tokens and we're actually capable of changing which tokens are hidden. So you can come in here and you can hide those tokens that come into your account as a dusting or that you're not aware of. So if you ever have quote unquote free money arrive in your crypto wallet, there is no such thing as free money. Hide the token and don't look at it. If you did sign up for an airdrop or something of that nature, and so you do believe that the cryptocurrency is supposed to be in your wallet, in that case, go and actually double check on Etherscan or on something else. And that's something we'll go into more in the future, is how to go through and double check 99.9999999% of the time. If free money arrives, don't mess with it. It's not free money. And so that is definitely the go-to, Starbright. If you see something random pop in, just assume they don't have anything good to help you out with. But let's jump in real quick, guys, because we have been running for quite a while. That is good. Jorge Luis, I had some pop up and Ledger informed me, and they took them off. Yep. Jorge, if any project is regularly reported, Ledger will just go ahead and take them off for you. If they've popped in and they haven't been removed yet and they're very upsetting to you, you can go through and you can hide them inside of the settings of your Ledger. So that is good, Jorge, because I believe I've had the same happen where I had some that just ended up disappearing off after a while. But jumping back in here real quick, guys, because I do want to make certain that we've got the halvening fully understood by the end of this one, because that it's a really big thing. It's a very, very big thing. It's the reason along with everything else, that we're seeing these absurd price volatility and changes. And so the halvings of Bitcoin are set to continue. And so these are the current estimates all the way up to 2060 for the Bitcoin halvenings. And so keep in mind that this year we're going from 6.25 to 3.125. So in 2028 we'll go from 3.125 to what would it be? Yeah, I guess it would be 1.56 something, 1.5625 or something of that nature would then be the next block rate. And then 2032, we'll see it cut in half again. 2036, half again. And so over time, it becomes always more and more and more and more difficult to mine new Bitcoins. And so we pretty much have all the Bitcoins in existence right now that ever will be in existence. I believe it's somewhere around 97 or 98% of all Bitcoins are already in existence. There's only a couple percentages left of truly new ones to come out. So when will all 21 million Bitcoins be mined? So they have currently got the date set at that all 21 million Bitcoins will be mined by 2140. So for those thinking that, Bitcoin is going to be a short-term thing, something that's going to be, transient, it's not. Bitcoin and Satoshi Nakamoto was planning on this being a currency that existed for generations and generations. He planned on it being the future of currency. And so the mining and the last Bitcoin will not be mined until sometime long after I am no longer here. So I don't worry about it. I don't worry about it, because I sure hope I make it to 2140. And if science allows me, I really hope that I'm there on the day that the last Bitcoin is mined. All right. And so the Bitcoin clock, that's not necessary. Is the halving necessary? The halving is necessary. This is how Bitcoin controls its supply. Once a block subsidy expires, transaction fees will be paid to miners for securing the network. And so that one's important right there. Once the block subsidy expires, transaction fees will be paid to miners for securing the network. And so when in 2140, when there are no new Bitcoin to be mined, what will actually be paid to the miners will be transaction fees. And so that's how there will continue to be people who are out there making certain that the network runs. All right, though, guys, that one was I think that one's an important one for everyone to kind of have. And so I'm going to go ahead and post it again. Keep in mind, these will also be inside of the Discord. So for anyone who is interested, these links that I have today are going to be in here so that everyone can check them out for themselves. But we're going to jump in and get just a little bit more done. And we covered, this is what I think is important. So what we have seen throughout all of these previous runs is we have seen the altcoins. And remember from our crypto lingo class that altcoins are any token, any coin that is not Bitcoin. So everything else. We have seen everything else surge at the same time as Bitcoin does. This has been a regular occurrence inside of the market. And you'll notice that this article is actually back from 2020. and I've got a 2021, and somewhere I've got a 2024 as well to share with y'all, where we see the same story told over and over again. When Bitcoin goes up, the altcoins go up. And so when you're looking at the markets and you're saying, look at how awesome my gains are, keep in mind that your gains are occurring because Bitcoin is gaining. Most likely you are gaining on account of Bitcoin. The reason is that back in the early days of cryptocurrency, almost everything was actually tied to Bitcoin. You would buy Bitcoin in order to buy other altcoins. So if you were excited about buying Shiba, what you did was you bought Bitcoin and then you bought it. If you wanted your Doge, you bought Bitcoin and then you bought Doge. And so anytime we saw a major increase in price for Bitcoin, we typically were seeing a fairly commensurate increase in price on the rest. And so another way to really kind of see this is to look up and down the chart. And so we see Bitcoin over 7 days at 7.9% up. We see Ethereum at 13.4%. We see Solana at 14%. We see XRP at 12.2%. You'll start to notice Avalanche 14.7%, Polkadot 11.5%. You'll notice that pretty much everybody is ranging right between Bitcoin's increase and a double of Bitcoin. And you'll notice this to be a regular occurrence inside of the markets. Will it always be true? Of course not. Murphy's Law always comes into effect. The exception is what proves the rule. But you will regularly see if Bitcoin goes up 8%, you will see an 8% to a 16% gain in the vast majority of altcoins. That is not always true, but it tends to be. If we saw 8% reduction in Bitcoin's price, we would most likely see between an 18 and a 16 or even a 24% reduction in the price of altcoins. So you can pretty much bet right now that whatever Bitcoin is doing, everybody else is following. Bitcoin is the behemoth, the Goliath that pulls the altcoins along with it. Bitcoin is the largest cryptocurrency. It is $1.4 trillion in market value. And that means that when people come in excited to buy Bitcoin, they end up buying a little bit of everything else, and they benefit everything else when they do. So keep that in mind as you're looking at things, guys. If you see Bitcoin start to plummet, you can go ahead and make a pretty safe assumption about what's about to happen to your altcoin. It's pretty safe. It may break trend for a short amount of time, but in the long run, we really haven't seen it ever stay broken for very long. Bitcoin is the bellwether for the market. Jeremy, no, thank you for that answer back there, because when it comes to when or if to buy something like Bitcoin, we will never be able to go. Absolutely. Nothing that I provide is to be viewed as financial advice. I say that not only because I would feel very responsible if anything went wrong, but also because it would be very illegal for me to provide financial advice on such a matter. So definitely discuss that with a financial advisor. Discuss that with loved ones. Do your own research. Make certain that when it comes down to it, that you're never, ever spending a dollar on something like an investment that you cannot afford to lose. And you should view that with Apple stock. You should view that with gold and silver. You should always view that purchase as something that could go to nothing. Always. If that money is needed so that you can eat tomorrow, never consider putting it into something. Nancy, well, that one kind of goes into it, but yeah. So I would suggest going through the first 10 minutes, and also, Nancy, because it is something I'm not here to provide advice on it. I only am here to provide information for people to see. You can come through here and you can check out on these links, and keep in mind that there are some hyperlinks inside of here that connect to some of the other pages that we've been looking at, the Having Progress chart, the Always Speculate page, and click on those and make your own decision. When it comes down to it, it's a matter of looking at what's happened, looking at the way things work, and making certain that that's what is guiding you. Don't make decisions because somebody on the internet told you it's going to work. Because some guy on the internet is not the person to choose when to purchase a token on account of. The best thing you can do is you can come online, you can learn about how these things work, and then you can do your own research and you can decide. And so I would absolutely, for everybody, this one is in the chat a few times, but it'll also be inside of the Discord and probably will end up in the education section for a while, since the halving is going to be a pretty big part of the conversation in the news in crypto for a while now. All right, though, guys, I think that does kind of actually get me to a bit of a closing point. Now, on these articles that I have over here, I am going to be sharing all of these so that everyone can go through them. I have a few articles from different years, from different halvings, where you can kind of see what market sentiment was like. What were people saying? What were people thinking? The only other thing that I will go through real quick, because I did have a question, and so I'll post all these links inside of the Discord right after the stream ends. And also, I would like everyone to actually check this out. So, because I had a question inside of the Discord, and this was a great one to learn from, because we had a community member who had purchased this token many, many years ago, and he's holding it inside of a wallet, and the wallet, and I'll actually come over here and see what it said he was supposed to be getting. But apparently, the wallet was telling him that each one of his Doge T tokens was worth $16,000 up until a couple months ago. And now it says they're worth 0. So I wanted to get you your answer, Tony. And so I actually pulled this one up so that I'd be ready. Your Doge T tokens are worth 0.00030062 per token. So they are not worth 0. You absolutely do have, you do still have some value in your Doge token, but the reason you're getting messed with, and I am going to go ahead and make a bold guess, you keep your crypto in Trust Wallet. Trust Wallet is notorious for this. Trust Wallet will regularly have an issue occur with the data coming to the price indicators. When that occurs, it will suddenly make the prices go nuts. And so I know Jeremy can actually attest to this one. Jeremy has been a trillionaire a few times in his life. And so everybody ask Jeremy for some free money, because he has regularly been a trillionaire. And the reason is not because it's worth that. It's because it's an error in the application. And so unfortunately, I have to bring you the news that Tony, you are not a billionaire. I'm sorry. I hope you are a billionaire someday soon, but you're not going to be a billionaire with Doge token. But also, it is not worth 0. And so if you ever have a doubt on the price of a cryptocurrency, or you see something on a chart that doesn't make sense, do come over and check out on CoinGecko what it's saying. And then you'll be able to have a better understanding. And so then, just so you know over there, man, I hope that you are not down a lot on that one. But your Doge token is not worthless, but it is not exactly worth $1 billion. Unfortunately, it has a fully diluted market cap of about 3,066,000. So unfortunately, no billionaires were made, but you do still have some money. It's not worth 0. So for anyone who has that occur, come check out Doge T. Oh, yeah, this was a great story. Our buddy David is coming from Jeremy, almost wrecked driving when CoinMarketCap had an error in his Trust Wallet, saw 9 zeros and almost ran off the road. He thought he had just become a quadrillionaire and that he had made the best decision of his life making that purchase. Guys, it is an error. It happens with CoinMarketCap. Trust Wallet, if you guys have that, Trust Wallet is owned by CoinMarketCap. And so the CoinMarketCap website which I will just show y'all guys. I am not a fan. I have used it many a time. But the CoinMarketCap website looks very similar to CoinGecko. It's essentially the same service, but they operate Trust Wallet, and they operate a lot of the data that goes to different price indicators. And CoinMarketCap is a joke. They regularly make huge errors. And so for anyone who sees a crazy price pop up, don't freak out. Breathe. Go check what CoinGecko has to say. If CoinGecko tells you that it's true, I've never seen CoinGecko be wrong. So it would be the first time, but definitely go and do a little bit of double checking. Keep in mind that it's very unlikely to make $1 million in a day, but I hope to hear that a member of the community does before too long. But I just wanted to jump into that one, and I felt like it was a good one to answer for everyone, because I've heard those stories before, and I bet we even have a few more of those stories in the community. So if you're anybody else that has ever looked at your wallet or looked at the price indicator and suddenly been a billionaire, a trillionaire, a quadrillionaire, or suddenly been zero when none of it was true, let us know, because they do tend to be funny stories, although they are not very funny when it happens to you, because I had one where it told me that I had just hit $5 million, and I really thought it was true for about 10 minutes until I did a little bit more research and went, dang it, I guess I got to go to work tomorrow. So unfortunately, still got to put food on the table. But someday it just could be true. So do check, guys, do check. And for everyone that joined today, thank you guys so much. I hope to see everyone on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would say also we are successfully streaming to Rumble now. And so for those that know people who aren't allowed on YouTube anymore, you can let them know that we can be found over there on the Rumble. But otherwise, thank you guys so much. Y'all have an absolutely amazing Monday evening, and I hope to see y'all over on the original Mark Z for the evening news tonight. So hopefully I get to talk to y'all a second time. Good evening, everybody.